couple of years down the road, um, you are reeling after receiving what is without a doubt the best offer of your professional comedian life.
Okay.
One of those opportunities that you're like, man, it's crazy that this is happening to me. You know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah.
The
What
kind that
what's the opportunity?
so you have been asked to take part in a uh, a worldwide tour. It's
A comedy tour?
no, so it's you opening for Garth Brooks,
Oh
and
fuck, dude.
they're calling the tour Brooks on Brooks. And what it is you go out and you warm up the crowd, you tell some jokes, and then it's Garth Brooks.
Opening for musicians sucks. Sucks. It sucks.
Yeah, but they've the thing about Garth Brooks's fans though is that they're famously open-minded to opening acts. Garth Brooks for the past few years has like just brought pretty varied out there openers. And their whole thing is, let's give this person a chance. If it's good enough for Garth, it's good enough for us. And at the end of the opener's performance, if they like it, they'll be wearing shirts that say good enough for Garth.
Oh no.
So he had one guy open for him who was like a he did like yo-yo tricks. And
That's pretty cool. That's a skill.
yeah, his name is uh Brooks Crumble.
Wait. Is he just booking people named Brooks or first or last name?
One of the other people that he had opening, um they just played like like Appalachian fiddle tunes. And her name was Brooke Hogan the second.
Not the daughter of Terry Bollea.
No, her real name is Brooke Hogan, but it's more but it's, obviously she's not related. She's not, you know what I mean? It's just to differentiate between them.
Good call.
Yeah.
But again, it seems like he's only booking people whose name is Brooks or Brooke. Is that like
Yeah,
a
so yeah, that's the whole gimmick, but he has to actually like the opening act because his whole thing is like, look, this has my name on it. These are my let's be honest, these are my fans for the most part are going to be coming out. I'm sure a few people come out to see you as well, a couple, fans, but for the most part, they're going to be, Garth
yeah?
Brooks heads. And so he's like, if I'm going to put my personal seal of approval on this, they got to be good. So yeah, they got to have the name, you know, Brooke or Brooks or like whatever, but they also got to be like good. It's that thing of, success is like 90% luck, 10% skill or whatever. It's sort of
So
like,
I'm probably doing a lot of pop culture jokes.
yeah.
I'm talking about Diddy stuff and
So,
talk to a
well,
girl, like all that.
yeah, you just got the offer. So it's not like,
Okay.
you haven't actually done the tour yet, but it's going to be an 8 month tour around the world.
Jesus. Eight
Yeah.
months.
Yeah. It's Brooks on Brooks, but Time Magazine has called this the year of Garth Brooks. He's released a new album that went, quadruple platinum. It's getting the best reviews of his career. Like
Holy
he
shit.
never, yeah, it's I guess it's sort of like a career resurgence, even though he never technically really went away, even though he retired for a little while there.
That's great news. The world could
Yeah.
use more Garth.
And that's what you tell them on the phone call when they give you the offer, is when they tell you, like, hey, it is going to be an 8 month tour. Is that okay? And you're like, look, the world needs more Garth. And they're like, we could not agree with you more, Aaron.
So what am I getting out of this? I'm on the road for 8 months. 8 months is a long fucking time.
Yeah, but you're being put up in you have the finest accommodations. Garth Brooks lives large, but he tours larger.
Yeah.
So you got your own, not your own, you share it with some of the band members, but you guys have a tour bus that you guys are on. Um, you are, you stay at the finest hotels, stuff like that. You also, at the end of the 8 month tour, the amount of money that you're gonna earn just doing the shows by themselves, um, after taxes and after, your legal representation gets their cut, or you know what I mean, like your
Yeah,
legal
yeah.
representation, your people get their cut or whatever. You are going to have $5.7 million.
What? I make over $5.5 million as an opening act for Garth Brooks.
Yeah.
That doesn't seem right.
What do you mean?
That seems like so much fucking money for a single
Well,
opening act on a single tour.
yeah, but it is 8 months and it is Garth Brooks. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like you guys are playing some pretty, like you guys play the Colosseum in Italy. The same.
This would have to be like a billion-dollar, multi-billion-dollar tour for them to be able to pay me that much money.
Yeah. And you say that to the Garth Brooks's rep called you. He's this guy. Uh his name is Brandon Brooks, and he's like, look, yeah, I'm I we I can only estimate what the final figure is going to be for, like, for us all told. But yeah, we're probably going to get about, $1.5 billion from this
Then I mean, yeah, of course I'm gonna do it.
in
I would do it for
cash.
so much less. That's unreasonable. Yeah, I'm gonna
So
do it. Of course I'll do it.
yeah. So that's the thing. So you're kind of like, holy shit, because you are, I'm not going to say that you're in a not great part of your career, but you're actually in a place in your career where you're you're actually making a pretty good living right now doing comedy. But you're doing it on cruise ships.
Oh
You've
man.
you've become known in the cruise ship comedian community as the, like, wonder kid, up and coming cruise comic. You've only been doing it for a few months, but you
That
have,
that is a significant career to be one of those guys. You gotta like work really clean and you gotta have like a
yeah,
G-rated
so
show.
you have to have a clean show, like a clean 45 minutes for families during the early part of the evening. Uh and you also have to have an adult act. Like, one of those, like, for the whole thing is like, come here, the jokes that, like, we couldn't say in front of your kids.
Yeah.
The kids are tucked away. Come on, get your laugh on.
Now mommy and daddy can play.
Yeah. And they have certain, like, drinks. They have a mommy drink and a daddy drink, so they call it. when you do the adult shows.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's like the featured cocktails of the evening.
The mommy
Because
drink
they
and the daddy drink.
they really lean into the whole it's these are mom and dads watching this because it
Yeah.
primarily is for the most part, there's a few,
Sure.
older kids there too, uh maybe in their late teens, early 20s type of deal, who are
Sure.
along for so there's a few of those, but for the most part it's moms and dads. So the featured cocktail, the and you don't have to be a mom to order this. Anyone can order this, but it's just called this. The mommy drink. It is like a it's like a white wine spritzer type deal.
Okay.
They take uh
Gotcha.
they take Chardonnay and they squeeze a bunch of like orange juice into it and
Okay.
like strawberry into it as well. Like they mash that in for like they mash it for a little bit. They add it. They pour the wine. They do a shot of pineapple vodka in it
Okay. I mean, this sounds delicious.
over ice. That's the so that's the mommy drink.
I love the mommy drink.
Yeah, the daddy drink is a so it's a muddled cucumber.
Okay.
They take a cucumber and the bartender muddles it 101 like
Yeah.
rotations. You know what I
Rotations.
mean? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they make sure
Strokes.
yeah. So they muddle that cucumber, for a while and after that it's a gin and tonic essentially with a muddled cucumber and just a hint of basil and rosemary with a noticeably juicy slice of lime. So there's
Daddy
the
drink. I think I'd
yeah,
rather have the mommy drink.
yeah, white wine with a shot of vodka.
Yeah. That sounds more. I don't know. You know, drink, but
And I got to
you know,
tell you, Aaron, at these adult shows, people get hammered.
yeah, I
It's
bet
very easy after like one and a half mommy drinks. Like people are like, you know,
that time of night,
oh yeah.
and
So
you know,
you're kind of
it's like
tired
all
already.
inclusive. You know,
Yep.
people aren't stopping after the first one. They don't have to
Oh
drive
no.
home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They also do a thing. It's called the baker's dozen, where what it is it's a bucket of a baker's dozens of beer, and you can't leave until you finish all of them.
Oh my God. You just have to. That's 13 beers in one sitting.
Well, yeah, but it's split
Well, I mean,
between,
I guess you can have, whoever, however many people.
yeah, yeah, but like you're not allowed to leave until that whole thing is done.
God, that sucks.
Well, but people go in there knowing that, and that's part of the fun. It's part of the adventure, you know?
Yeah, I guess.
It's a cruise line called the Bahama Mama Cruise Line. And so yeah, so you're a cruise ship comedian at this point in your life. And things are going good. You definitely had to have a little bit of an adjustment just because, you spend so
Sure.
much time out on the sea, you know.
Yeah.
And it is a bit of a grind, You when you're out at sea, um when you're, deployed as you think of yourself being
Fuck that. I'm not
when you're out of
deployed.
when you're on deployment, you do
No, I'm not. I don't call it that. My brother was in the Navy.
right. And you're like, and like when you tell him that you're doing this, you're like, you know, I'm just like you.
No, 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 no,
And
no.
he's like,
That I'm not.
I And you go, it's almost like I'm kind of, if you think about it, it's like I'm kind of in the Navy too, in a
America's
sense.
Navy.
Yeah. You're like, I'm in the comedy Navy, you know, and you are dead serious.
That sucks.
Yeah. And your brother's like, yeah, sure. Later on, you like realize, like, oh, that was kind of a dumb thing to say, but
Yeah,
whatever. So you're working on for the Bahama Mama cruise line. This is you're going out on it's called, the name of the ship is the USS Great Job. And
very positive.
yep. And so you do two shows a night. You have Sunday off. But during the day, you kind of, you kind of walk around and you have time to yourself. You found yourself, like gazing pensively out at the ocean as like the sunsets and stuff,
Yeah, of course.
You're kind of hypnotized by the sea in kind of an interesting way. So you get the phone call from from Garth Brooks's people. He announces the Brooks on Brooks tour. And you are like, you're very excited because even though you kind of have enjoyed the cruise ship life a little bit more than you thought you would, you know? Um, you had, you found that like, only when you're out on the sea, only when you're deployed,
Come on,
you found the ability to like have lucid dreams. When you're out in the open sea, you can actually control what you do in your dreams. But
okay, that's pretty cool,
when you're back on land, you can't. But when you're out on the
man.
sea, you're able to do so. And I got to be honest with you, Aaron, it has been quite erotic at
Why the
times.
fuck do you say it like that? Why do you have to say it like that? Why do you have to say it with like this undercurrent of eroticism?
Because, I'm just saying you have the ability to control yourself in these dreams now. And like the longer you're out, you found that you can actually like shape the dreams. You know what I mean? So almost like you're like you've become like some kind of you know, god of dreams or something.
A dream weaver. Ooh, dream weaver.
There are some mornings that you wake up like singing that song.
Man, that's a great song.
Sometimes you like bellow it in your sleep, the top of your lungs.
That one part where he's like, I believe you can get me through the
The
night.
night. But
Oh,
you're
he
like,
hits it.
I believe you can get me. You're like screaming at the top of your
Man,
lungs. Yeah. With the urgency of like a soldier that has seen the enemy on the horizon and has to like warn everybody. That's how
channeling Gary Wright.
basically. So you're on the USS Great Job and you're thinking, it is going to be, this is obviously, it's too good of an opportunity to pass up, but you are gonna, there's aspects of this that you're gonna miss, the lucid dreaming for one. Also, you have seen some fantastic views of the sea, you know.
Yeah, I bet.
So you're you find yourself once again. It's Sunday night. You're like, gazing out at the sea on your evening off.
Am I getting laid a lot?
Honestly, yeah, dude.
Dude, I bet those guys, you're on a floating hotel with
And that's the
endless
thing.
booze.
And yeah, endless booze, and there's people there who there are, there's people in the comedy world who I believe they're referred to as chuckle fuckers.
Oh yeah, man, you see him.
Yeah. The people who are attracted to stand-up comedians. And
I'm thinking of a lady right now
yep.
who used to come into the first comedy club I started at and wanted to fuck all like the road dog dudes. I'm thinking
Yeah.
of her right now.
I'm thinking of so many right now. So,
Yeah.
but every cruise that you do, there's at least one. And honestly, sometimes there's more than a few.
I mean, you're doing stand up in this environment, people are taking trips, they're feeling a little loosey goosey.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Once a week, someone will actually throw their like keys on stage as you're performing, and the whole crowd will go, ooh. And you catch it every single time. And the crowd like
Really?
go, yeah, it goes crazy. And it's
Man,
never at the same spot, you know what I mean? It's not like at some point you're going like, hey, by the way, if you want to have sex with me, throw your keys. You know what I mean? It's just you're talking and you say something, and then at that point it's just too much for them to bear, and they just have to throw their keys at you.
that's insane. How
A
are she,
little.
how is she going to get into the room? Guess I got to be there.
Well, uh, well, I don't know. I'm not actually certain of it's. I've never actually done that, so I don't.
I'd have to be the one to let her in.
Yeah, it's happened a few times. There's been some people who they had backup keys or whatever, but a few of them you had to like. Yeah, you actually like one of them you waited for like 3 hours
Oh, great.
in front of room 69.
Yeah, man.
And can I tell you something, Aaron?
Yeah,
It was absolutely worth the wait.
great. Sometimes it is, I guess.
Some of these women you don't even learn their name. You like will ask them. You always ask, and they're like, and they'll tell you for the most part, but sometimes they're like, doesn't matter, and you're like, hell yeah.
I guess
So
not. I never
you're
become interested in any of these women or
no, dude, you are at this point, you feel almost like every time that you get with one of these women, you almost feel like you're cheating on the sea.
I'm not going to feel that way.
So no, you never become attached really for the most part. You're kind of, you're like a road dog, but you're on a ship, so you're like a ship dog.
A sea dog.
Yeah, a sea dog. A sea dog is a better way of putting it. So and you think to yourself, like when you get off next time you get on dry land, you're thinking about getting a necklace that just says Sea Dog on it.
The sea dog.
Yeah.
Man.
Along with like a pendant of like a dog just like doggy paddling through the sea, with like just giant waves. And he just has a big grin on his face, like he loves
I'm
it.
getting a pendant of this dog being chased by a giant wave, paddling and loving
Happily.
every second of it.
Yeah, paddling happily through
Loving
the
every
sea.
second of it.
And so
God, that sucks. How much is that pendant going to cost me?
you found there's a place that does custom order necklaces like that for a pretty reasonable price. It'll probably be about $50 plus shipping
Damn.
and
Okay.
handling. Yeah.
Okay.
But with the money that you're gonna be making from Brooks on Brooks. And also again, the cruise ship guys, they do pretty well.
Sure. Yeah.
Comics like that who do things like that, yeah, they do well. And so, you can afford it.
Okay.
So you're hanging out and you're like, I can't believe that I have this like crazy opportunity. You're kind of like, reflecting.
Yeah.
And then earlier suddenly there's like you hear like a bunch of people like like gasp. You hear like a bunch of like you're like sitting in you're out, it's your like I said, it's Sunday, it's your night off. You're kind of just almost apprehensively staring at the sea. And on the first, the main floor of the ship or whatever, you hear like a bunch of people like gasping and like kind of like there's like a big like commotion down there. And you're like,
Man.
yeah, and you're like, what the hell? And so you go down there and you walk out and you go, hey guys, what's going on? It's a bunch of like the security people. Um and at this point, you know the people who work for the company on the USS Great Job. You know all of them on a first name basis at this point. And so you're like, "Hey, Chuck, Charles, what's going on?" Chuck and Charles are these two the two main security guys of the ship.
Chuck and Charles.
Yeah.
All right.
So and one of them turns to you and they go, "Oh, Aaron, thank God you're safe," says Chuck. And then Charles says, "There's been a murder."
Oh no. Who's dead?
And you look down and you see that there's like on the ground is this guy and he has like a really big, really sharp screwdriver like through his heart.
Oh Jesus.
He's on the ground like twisted, you know what I mean? And you look at him and you go like, "Holy shit." And you're like you recognize the guy. You recognize him because the night before, this guy had been to both of your shows and you did crowd work with him for like the G-rated one, and you also did like crowd work for him during like the adult one. And it was one of those things where it just
Wait, I did crowd work on the same guy for both shows.
for both shows. So you did a PG version of it, and then you did a like a R-rated, a hard
Oh, let's not call
R-rated.
it that. It's not.
Oh yeah, no, that's not what. No, that's not what I meant. I meant just like extreme R-rated, you know. So and you guys just had like you kind of had a great time, you know what I mean? You know, especially during like the PG one, you just weren't really expecting to do that, you know what I mean? And then
Yeah,
because
yeah.
it's kind of like dark on like it's kind of it's really dark and he was sitting in the back. So you can see the people in the front, but not really him. And so you ended up doing crowd work with him. And then the same thing happened during the extreme R rated show. There we go. Way better way of putting it.
Yeah.
Where you started doing crowd work and you started responding and you were like, and like a lot of people go to both shows, like the parents go to both shows for a lot of them, not all of them, but a lot of them do. And so as he says something, you go, "Are you the same fucking guy from the first show?" And he goes, "Yeah." And then the whole crowd just goes crazy.
Oh, okay.
So he's like in front of you, like dead.
Man, that sucks. That
Yeah.
guy annoyed a lot of people, I guess.
You say that, Chuck and Charles kind of like look at you,
I don't think I would say that out loud. I'm not going to say anything. I'm going to think that to myself.
but you end up like muttering it out loud. And
Great.
so they kind of just like look at you for a second, but then you're like, "Oh," and so you walk away. So over the next couple of days, every person that you end up doing crowd work with is found murdered.
That fucking sucks. I'm just not going to do crowd work. On the second day that it happened, I would just not do any crowd work. And
So
if somebody
you
asked me why, I would go, the last two people who I did extensive crowd work with have died, have been the people who've been killed. I don't know, frankly, why we're still doing these shows. Two people have been murdered, brutally murdered on this ship. Why the fuck aren't we already docked somewhere?
it's always with screwdrivers. So some of them have gotten their like necks cut with
Oh,
screwdrivers. Yeah,
how? That's
it's really
like
sharp screwdrivers, I guess.
that's
So
not a screwdriver isn't razor sharp.
so Chuck and Charles come to you and they're like, "Aaron, so we've noticed that you're not doing crowd work, uh, which is good. You're you know you're kind of saving lives almost. If you think about it." And
Why
they
are
go,
we at a fucking dock? Why has it been days? Plural.
"Because you were like deep in the ocean.
Are you fucking serious? We
Yeah,
were
this
days out into the ocean.
you're days out. Yeah." And
That's
so
unbelievable. Coast Guard would be there by now.
yeah, but they're like they had to go. They're the Coast Guard in that there's there's no coast, so there's not a lot of like of them out in that area. And the ones who were, they most of them are on strike.
Why? It's like a government thing. It doesn't work that way. The moment somebody
They
was murdered, they would have turned this fucking boat around and we would have docked somewhere.
Yeah, so and that's what they're doing is that they're heading back to shore, but people need to be entertained, and you got to keep
Do they?
got to you got to keep people calm, and it takes a while before there's a people realize what's going on with you in the crowd work. And honestly, you're the only you and Chuck and Charles have figured this out. Everyone else hasn't, they have no idea. And so they're like, "All right, so Aaron, here's what we need you to do. Like we got to find this guy and we have to like and the only way that we're going to find this person because these are all like perfect crimes. They leave behind absolutely no evidence. And Chuck and Charles have been, they've been before they worked on cruise ships, they worked as detectives. They were also Green Berets. They still wear their Green Berets,
Yeah.
but not like a
All the
full
time?
outfit, just the
Just a
all the
beret.
time. Yeah, all the time.
Man.
Sometimes you picture that you wonder if they like wear them in like when they go to bed at night and you like
Yeah, yeah.
picture it and you picture it for some reason you picture them like both asleep in the same room like twin beds next to each other wearing the hats, you know what I mean, like snuggled up
That's
and sleeping. You'll kind of think of that and like laugh a little bit.
that
So
sucks.
they're like, Aaron, so the only way we're going to be able to do this is we have to like lure him out. Okay. And like, even with all our skills, we're not able, like, we've found nothing on this person. So they're like, what we want you to do is tonight do crowd work. And whoever that you end up talking to the most, we're going to like, you know, see if the person, when the person comes inevitably to kill them, we're going to be able to stop them and figure out who this person is.
Why don't we make it one of them? Like, why don't we make fun of one of you guys? You pose as an audience member. Why put somebody else's life at risk?
And Chuck's like, oh, because he's like, well, I don't know. We to be honest with you, I kind of have a phobia of comedy shows. I went to one once, me and some coworkers, and then like the comic was just kind of picking on me and just kind of it was really unpleasant. I just
What about Charles?
he's like, yeah, I just really don't like stand-up comedy. I think it's
Well, then I don't know what to fucking tell you because I'm not
childish
gonna
and
do that to I'm not gonna put another person in danger. I'm not
Charles
gonna do that.
Charles like gulps and he goes, all right, Aaron, I'll do it. Even though I have this like thing about getting picked on by comedians. He
Well,
like
you're
takes like
gonna somebody's gonna it's gonna have to be one of you, one of the two of you.
he takes a deep breath and
How about we get the guy who doesn't have the phobia, a phobia of it?
he goes, no, 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 you don't understand. I really, really don't like stand-up comedy.
Yeah, but he has a fear. This dislike is gonna be trumped by a fear. One of those is more extreme than the other.
He's like, plus, I mean, this is staged crowd work. And he's like, and crowd work to me, it's just something that it's just taken over the stand-up world right
I'm
now.
not
And
gonna
there's just
listen to
too
this.
much. And
I don't need to hear this from this fucking guy. I don't need to hear this thing that I know is true. I don't need to hear this guy fucking he hates stand-up comedy, wants to fucking bloviate on the role of crowd work clips, social media.
he's
Fuck
more
you.
disillusioned. He says he
Okay.
hates it, but he drops enough knowledge about it that you're like, oh, this person clearly re really likes stand-up comedy and is like kind of feels not in tune with what's going on right now. It's just one man's opinion. So Chuck, I think it was, yeah, Chuck is like, all right, so he's like, I'm gonna get over my fear of this and for the good
I told him, I
of
said, I'm going to make fun of you. I'm
he goes,
going to make
okay.
fun of you. And
He's like,
everybody and the people in the crowd will laugh at it. We should
Yeah.
plan something out
He
that
goes,
makes
okay,
me question him. And
okay. And he kind of like looks relieved and he goes, oh, thank you, Aaron. He's like, ooh, that actually makes it a lot easier. Okay, what do you, what do you, what do you say? He's like super nervous.
I would I, I would
He has
ask
like
him
a
about his
really, he has a really, really, really thick neck.
I would ask him about his beret, probably. I go, look at this guy wearing a beret. I go, what's with that beret?
And
I
he
said,
goes, hey,
Are you French?
and he kind of like looks like horrified and he goes, I serve my country, you fucking asshole.
Yeah, it's a fucking joke. Okay. I don't give a shit. We're trying to find a way into this so that way we can lure this person out.
He goes,
None
right,
of what I'm
right,
gonna say
sorry.
is real. But you have to use a real thing to give the illusion that I'm doing this.
Okay. He goes, right, no, okay, sorry. Let's try it again. Let's just try it again
Okay.
with my beret.
Yeah, you're wearing a beret. So are you from France? And you could say, like, oh, I love French fries, and now we're off.
And he goes, French fries. And he goes, yeah, yeah, I could say that. He goes, okay, yeah, thanks, Aaron. He goes, okay. And so you guys kind of like go through some, different things that you guys can do.
I go, let
And
me drive the bus. This is my job. Let me do this. You don't have to try to be, you should not try to be funny.
yeah.
Do not try to be funny. That's my job.
And so and he looks at you and he like this whole time he's been kind of like slumped over and looking like kind of like nervous and he suddenly like straightens up and you see the soldier that he once was and I guess probably always will be. And he like does it like a sharp salute to you.
Don't salute me for the love of God.
And he like immediately stops saluting you and he's like, "Oh, sorry." So nighttime rolls around, and you go out on stage and he is sitting in the front row. The guy in the back doing the announcements. There's this guy who works in like uh not catering, but the culinary stuff. Like he makes, helps make the foods and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
He's this kid who he's he's only 19, but he has like a really deep voice of like an older man. And so they
Okay.
always make him do the announcements. So he's like, ladies and gentlemen, are you ready for an evening of PG rated comedy? And everyone's like, yeah. It's show number one.
Okay.
And he's like, okay, please help me welcome to the stage Aaron Brooks. You like walk out, you kind of like walk out like dancing a little bit, you know what I mean, pointing at people and
Sure.
stuff.
Yeah,
Super,
yeah.
super high energy, just a
Yeah,
big
yeah.
fucking grin on your face. No one is happier to be anywhere than you at that second on that stage. That's like what you're putting out.
Trying to kill some fucking time.
Yeah. Yeah, that too. So you go in, you start talking, and you kind of go, you look over and you see him like sitting there and he's wearing the green beret. And you look over at him and you go, oh, cool. You're gonna, huh? He's this guy. Look at this guy. He's just gonna sit in the front row and wear a beret. And everyone like laughs, and he kind of like you just see him start like sweating, and you go,
Yeah. You had to pack that beret.
the
You
crowd
had to
starts
make a
laughing. Even
headwear choice.
they're like laughing louder with every riff that you do. They're just getting like louder and louder and louder, and his face is like just getting sweatier and sweatier and sweatier. And then like he goes like, then he goes, oh yeah, yeah, French fry. Even though you haven't like mentioned anything about him being you know what I mean? Like he just
Yeah,
has no
yeah.
idea what to do. And so you kind of go like, and you look at him and you go like, French fry? And you go, hey buddy, dinner was earlier. And everyone laughs. And then he yells, stop fucking laughing at me. And he stands up and he pulls out a gun and just
What the fuck? What the
shoots you in the
fuck?
fucking face.
Are you kidding me? He
In a fit.
recruited me to help.
He has like a PTSD kind of thing going.
Great.
Uh So
That
he
fucking
um
sucks.
so he like stands up and shoots you in the face multiple times, and you kind of like, fall over dead, and the whole crowd
God
goes
damn
like,
it, Chuck.
and like run around.
You fucking kidding me?
When you guys do Doc back at Dry Sea, he's put on trial for it, and the jury rules that, because he was out at sea, there's nothing that the law of the land can do. So
Oh
he
yeah.
just
Okay.
they also take into account his years and years of service, and they're like,
He
look,
shot me in the fucking face. He murdered me in cold blood in front of a room full of witnesses.
yeah, well, they showed the like at the trial, they showed like footage of you like, kind of going in on them, and everyone there was just they were just like, oh man, that comedian was being so mean to this guy for no
What
reason.
does Charles? What does Charles tell them?
He's
What
just
does
like
Charles tell them?
he just
Like, oh yeah,
pleads.
This was agreed to. What the
No, he
fuck?
doesn't tell him that at all. He just pleads like, temporary insanity, and
Great.
he gets off. And so
What a miscarriage
they
of sea justice.
they never find the guy who was going around killing people.
Great. I don't care. I'm dead. Dead on a fucking cruise ship alone.
And they because they were because they were out on the sea and stuff, they weren't really sure what to do with your body, so they just threw it
Yeah.
overboard.
Just fucking through it. Yeah. Okay. Just dump
And
me.
as they like kept going, a few people turned around and looked, they saw your body like floating on top of the sea, and a bunch of birds coming down and landing on it, starting to like peck at it.
God damn. That sucks. Fuck this.